To me, the golden rule of business now is how easy are you to work with. We have moved into a service-based economy, and whoever can provide us the easiest way to accomplish something is usually at the top of our list. And let's face it, in this day and age, if you're not offering text messaging as a way to reach your business, when that's how we communicate with all of our friends, family, coworkers, hobbies, everything else, you're missing the most popular channel. Quantity is number one, the response time is number two. Communicate, set expectations, do the right thing.
Welcome to another episode of Expanding Local. Today I'm here with Aaron Weiche. He is the co-founder and CEO at Leadferno, which is a business messaging platform that helps businesses improve conversion rates and enhance customer experience. On top of that, there is a lot of other stuff. So first things first, Aaron, thank you for joining. Glad to have you here.
Well, thanks for inviting me to talk with you.
Of course. Could you, because I know I only covered Leadferno in the intro, you have an extensive history in the digital space. Could you go through that?
Yeah, I am definitely a digital dinosaur. Started building web pages back then in the mid to late 90s. Just a one-page website would do. So you didn't even call the website. You're just like, oh, can you build me a web page? And that was good enough. That whole gamut, I ran agencies of all sizes for a little over 15 years, building websites, search and social campaigns, mobile apps, you name it. And then fortunately, 10 plus years ago, got into the software as a service space, just building one solution for one company for thousands of customers each time, and was really blessed and fortunate to get into that space. I was the CEO of GatherUp for a number of years, a platform focused on reviews and reputation. Led that to acquisition in 2019, just before that whole pandemic thing kicked off. And then about a year later, started the gears turning on what has become Leadferno.
Wow. And can you kind of go into Leadferno, what you guys do, how you're helping home service businesses, other contractors and whatnot?
Yeah, so I always describe us, we are a conversion platform that is powered by text messaging. So what our job is, and it kind of combines, I guess, to play into my history, right? I have built hundreds of small business websites of all flavors, obviously a ton in the home services industries, legal industries, medical, all of those kinds of things. So one thing I was always wanting out of those websites, it's like so many people, especially early on, I think we've seen some of that shift, but people are so focused on getting traffic and getting people to their website. But the ultimate goal is to get someone to take an action, to say, here I am, I'm interested, here I am, I have a question, here I am, I want to buy, I want to book, whatever that might be. So that was definitely one thing that I saw across websites, is just how poor call to actions were, how much you had to cobble tools together to get kind of the right set of conversion elements and calls to action on a website. And then in my 6 years with GatherUp, and in doing reviews and reputation for tens of thousands of businesses globally, and doing research and looking through all of our data of millions of reviews, I just saw how important communication was and such a big difference maker between a 1-star and a 5-star experience. So Leadferno kind of combined these things in how do we get website conversion in a box that you can deliver to automatically improve a website, have better calls to action, use a channel that is more easier to use for your customer and the consumer, and is more trusted than especially than email. And how do you use that to improve communication that can be so detrimental into winning someone over, landing their business, delivering a great experience, and earning a 5-star review, which cycles all the way back to the front of that line and helps you rank better, get your next customers, make people feel trust in you, and land those deals. So that's kind of, I tried to, I guess, wrap 25 years of doing things online and create a solution that addressed some of the pain points that I experienced over a few decades of building and optimizing and creating.
And what are the communication errors that these I kind of want to just talk about home service business owners, if that's okay.
Yeah, you bet.
What mistakes are they making? Well, like when someone fills out a form, what are they doing wrong?
Yeah, so I think there's a few different things at play that we can break down. One to me is optionality. So if you get somebody to your site, I've said for the last few years, to me, the golden rule of business now is how easy are you to work with? We have moved into a service-based economy, and whoever can provide us the easiest way to accomplish something is usually at the top of our list. And we've seen this across so many industries and disruptions, right? Calling and getting a cab was a crappy experience. Well, here comes Uber and Lyft and rideshare apps. Man, finding a restaurant that actually does delivery, maybe it's only pizza places, that's difficult. Well, don't worry about that. We have DoorDash, we have all these other things. I want to get products to my door faster. Amazon Prime, let's do same day or 2-day free shipping, those kind of things. So that same disruption service businesses and home service businesses can definitely do. But often with our conversion, we make it so when they are on the website, all you can do is call, or all you can do is fill out a form that might be 5 fields, 10 fields, 12 fields, 20 fields, just all depends. So to me, optionality is one point. Can you lay out easy ways? So however the consumer prefers to reach out, some people want to make a phone call. Some people want to fill out a form. Some people would like to just start a text conversation because it's the most popular communication channel that we use and the most asynchronous and easiest real time that we can use. Or we're forcing them into live chat, and I just got to your site. Now I have to wait 5 minutes for an agent to come online, and I'm stuck on the computer while we have that live chat. So there's just a number of different things. So I think that optionality is one big thing where people get it wrong. You're not providing the right selection of channels. And let's face it, in this day and age, if you're not offering text messaging as a way to reach your business, when that's how we communicate with all of our friends, family, coworkers, hobbies, everything else, you're missing the most popular channel. Studies in the last few years have overwhelmingly shown how much more popular texting is than phone calls, emails, things like that. Hopefully I'm not insulting your family, Will. You don't have like a 30-person family email chain that you keep everyone updated?
I was pretty
All
good,
right. I mean,
but
that can
I'm
still
willing to
happen.
get past it.
Yeah, there you go. Most people are still, have now moved to texting for those things. But, within that's definitely one part of it. Then you get into the call to actions. And I almost see the two extremes. I either see not enough. If your only call to action is your contact page being a link in your main navigation, that's not enough. That's not making it easy. That's not standing out. That's not helping anyone understand what your process is like or the communication channels they can use or anything else. And then I also see the over aggressive where you get 10 pop-ups on the screen, you get takeovers, you get fly-ins, you get all these things, and you literally have to put in work to get rid of all these calls to actions just to actually read the content, do the research, understand if that business is right for you. So clear call to actions, the right amount that are done the right way, the right color, the right movement, the right place at the right time, all of those kind of things definitely be important with it. So all of that's on the side of getting their attention, letting them know what the next step is and that they can take it, the options they have to do it, all of that's important. And then on the other side, you just run into all the things on just, and we can break this down without me getting too long-winded into one answer, but businesses just really suck at follow-up, even though there's some easy hacks and some great tools and some great ways to be able to make it happen and deliver a better communication experience to your prospect or customer.
Love that. And you mentioned like having the option to contact a business via text. What does that look like from a consumer standpoint? Because I know there's platforms that like don't really allow the option to like click a button and send a text. For some businesses, you put in your phone number and then maybe the business would send the first text. Like in terms of a like potential client or customer coming to a website and wanting to send you the first text, what does that process look like? And how does that work?
Yeah. So for us in our tool, what we use is just a simple short form. There's a few different ways it can be utilized. We have a widget that the call to actions are always on the screen, similar to what most people would assume with like a live chat icon or a live chat widget. We also have embeddable forms. But we want to capture their name, allow them to write the first message and their phone number. From there, all of their communication comes back to them via their texting app on their phone. The benefit to this is ubiquitous across all platforms. So if I'm on that website via a desktop or a laptop computer, a tablet, whatever else, I can start that conversation even though it's not connected to a text messaging service. So that's the reason why we do it that way, and a lot of other what we call A to P solutions, application solutions to starting a text conversation, because you can start it from any type of device. So texting is always an option. If you just place the texting number or your number to text hyperlinked on the site to start a text conversation, that's only going to work if your laptop is connected to messaging service, it's a Mac connected to your iMessaging, or if you're on a phone. So you're taking a big population of devices off the table if you offer it that way. You're still marketing and communicating that you offer text messaging, but you're not making it available to everyone at that time. So that's what we have tested and found to be best. It's also great then because then you're capturing the bare necessities of what's their name, what's their first question, or what they're interested in, and allowing them to send that first message. Our system automatically has an auto reply based on time of day. So you can do different things whether you're available immediately or not, and being able to set a clear expectation on when they're going to hear back from you again, which is such a key and important aspect in great communication, is proper expectations.
I love that. What kind of information are you collecting on that first contact if someone is filling out like the live chat widget? And have you, I know you have, like what is the Goldilocks zone of the like too many questions or not enough questions?
Yeah, so ours is just collecting name, phone number, and it allows them to leave an initial message, question, whatever that might be for the reason for the contact. So as few of fields as possible. For us, our widget is just locked into that. If you use our lead form, that form you can create one or more forms that have up to 8 or 9 questions in them, and you can have date fields, multiple choice, drop downs, address fields, all of those kinds of things. So you can be a little bit more long form. Me personally, what I've found, and there's so many different studies and things that are out there, I just always view it in a common sense way. Think of each field in a form as like a brick in a wall. And how much effort are you making someone to climb over the wall to go from a lurker on your website to being a known lead or a prospect? So if you have just 3 fields, name, number, and what are you inquiring about, that's just a 3 brick row high. It's a pretty easy step to get over that. When you have 8, 10, 15, I've seen fields with 20 plus where you're a home remodeler. What room? What's the square footage? What are the things you're interested in? Have you thought about material, right? You have like all of these things. And I'm like, when you're asking someone to be so committed as a prospect to give you that amount of information, you are losing leads. Now, where a lot of them feel the trade-off is like, it's super highly qualified. That person definitely wants to work with us. I'm not wasting my time nurturing them. But I always look at it, the job of your website is to create as many opportunities as possible. It's your sales process and things you do after that that help you nurture them, whittle them down, provide urgency, a close, whatever that might be. So that's really, I look at, I always say, get as minimal of information as you need to start that conversation. Then figure out in your sales process or the tech you're using and the way you follow up, that's how you should be able to enrich that lead further or capture more information. When we require an all or nothing right out the gate of, if you don't tell me these 10 things, we can't start working together, you're just turning people away by asking and requiring too much effort out of them.
How would you recommend, after they fill out that initial form, collecting the essential information of, see if it's even worth going out to give an estimate and whatnot? Would you have a human reach out and ask those questions, fill out like a form on the back end, or would you automate that process and send them like more questions via text so that they kind of do that themselves? Or is there really no answer there?
Yeah. So there definitely is an ant, right? Digital marketing, the word, it depends, right? Like depends is always used. Here's the things I always recommend people taking a look at. The less friction and the easier you can make it, again, back to my golden rule for the consumer, the better off. So when you put them into control and you're able to get them to tell you more information in a conversational matter of texting back and forth, or even if you're still stuck in using email forms, like let's just break this down step by step. I complete a form or I start a text conversation. There should be an auto reply that instantly says, we received your initial inquiry. Here's when you can expect a response for us. And here's what you can tell us next or answer for us next that would be helpful. We actually did a study towards the end of last year of 225 contact forms, home services, medical like dental, chiropractic, and then professional services like law firms, CPA firms. What we found is that almost 85% of those 225 contact forms we fill out did not send an auto reply. And to me, that just blows my mind, because what form solution or contact solution that's out there doesn't have an auto reply as a feature? And it takes you 5 minutes to set it up, and then it's sending to the dozens, hundreds, thousands of leads you get after that, instantly connecting with them, letting them know, hey, we got you. Here's when we're getting back to you. Here's what else you can tell us that'll allow us to get you a quote or book a time or whatever else. So to me, that's just one thing that should just be like, the basic brass tacks of what you're doing. Yet most small businesses aren't doing this at all. So that's one thing. Are you doing an auto reply and doing the right things in that auto reply? After that, depending upon the channel, then you can definitely ask secondary questions. Now, when you do this on email, right, you can ask a question or two. You definitely don't want to give them a list, because now you're doing the same thing as what the form was, and you're maybe asking too much. The beauty about text, right, is we have a feature called keywords where you can say they're reaching out to a remodel and be like, hey, text back and let us know what you're interested in. Either reply with full home remodel, or kitchen remodel, or bath remodel. So you can just throw out terms they can reply with. When they reply with that term, then you can have another question based on what that term is. So you could set up 2 or 3 questions in a conversational format, and now you know more information like their address or their zip code, the size of their house, the room they're looking to do, additional information, anything like that, the timing on when they're hoping to have it done by or start by. You can do all that lead qualification before a human has even touched it, if you set it up that right way. And at any point in time, too, if they reply without any of that, you still have the alert that a human can jump into that conversation and reply. So we've seen with some things, there's smart things you can do based on any channel. You have to do them the right way. The beauty with some of this automation in text messaging is much more personalized and feels much more human than when I'm listening to a recording on the phone and being told to press 1 for this and 3 for this and 5 for this. It takes longer. We can read faster than we can listen. There's just all kinds of things. So those are some of the initial things that I always look at, things that are enough on our mind where we've already built them into our platform. And when I'm just talking to people about conversion, no matter what type of tools they're using or whatever else, it's these same things. Have an auto reply, set proper expectations. How can you further the conversation that's helpful to them, that allows them to tell you things and gets you more info, so that whenever you pick it up on the human side, you can get right to achieving the next step that you want of closing it, booking an appointment, getting an estimate out, whatever that might be.
And so with Leadferno, whenever people are replying to those like different questions and follow-ups and whatnot, are the integrations able to import those answers directly into the CRM, or is there a need for human involvement there? How does that process look?
Yeah, so our most common integration is with CRMs. Most of the time, here's what our customers are doing. So if you live in the world of Zapier, and that's usually the most common one used because now you don't need to involve a developer. Zapier is a no-code automation tool that allows you to connect 2 apps. Their framework works off of triggers and actions, which basically means if this happens, then do this. My real world example is if I flip this light switch, The action is the light turns on. So in this case, what we have is a trigger that's a tag trigger. So I can tag a specific conversation. I might tag it lead or qualified, and then it will send that contact's information and whatever else I hook into it into the CRM, into our HubSpot or Job Nimbus or whatever the CRM is that we're using. So people do that because then they can kind of pre-qualify the lead in Leadferno, and they're not going to send it until they choose to. Now, you can set it up where right when you get a new contact, it automatically syncs it into the CRM as well. But we find more people are trying to keep their data as clean as possible, especially in their CRM. And this allows you to, be able to deal with things that just don't meet initial requirements, might not be in your service area, things like that. So they never make it into your CRM by just doing that small manual action of someone needs to approve it, apply this tag, and then it automates it into that CRM.
Gotcha. And so I respect you a lot because I went to your website and there's not just AI features like plastered everywhere. I feel like any company that's not even like using AI, it's just going to say like the next AI tool. Is there any like AI or like generative stuff involved in the Leadferno process? Like how does that kind of play into things?
Yeah. So, one, you can't be a software company and not be talking or thinking about AI, all of those things. We do have an AI feature already built in. We use AI to create summaries. So in one click of a button, you can summarize a 20, 30, 50 text message exchange just to the most important points. You can choose, do I want to summarize this conversation in one sentence, in a paragraph, or bullet points? So that's the main thing that we use AI for right now, is a shortcut just to write a quick summary. Maybe you're going to transfer that conversation to another user on the team and you want them to see what they've talked about. You're going to close that lead and mark it as one because you closed the deal and you just want to summarize it so you have that summary. So that's the biggest thing. Believe me, Will, we have a lot of debates on bringing AI into the conversion, into the initial engagement with a customer. And some of the challenges which we are watching so closely, I personally use 3 or 4 other like chat AI powered tools and am constantly testing those. Because the majority of our customers are focused on sales, AI still lacks motivation. AI still lacks empathy. AI doesn't have a sales quota. They're not going to make any money off that deal being closed. And those things matter when you're trying to book a deal, book a job, as well as empathy. Now, some of those things, are they going to get there? Yes, I think they will. There will come a time for that. But what we want to do, just like I mentioned with some of our other features, we have auto-replies, we have keywords. We're going to automate and make things easier. But ultimately, we still want to get it in the hands of a human. And what we see from consumers is ultimately when they're choosing these, they still want to connect with a human as well. So we want to give them tools to make this easier. Down the line, might that be AI initially, right in the conversation? Yes. And our tool will always be where a human can still intercept or interact or pick up the conversation at any point in time. But again, we see AI is great at answering questions, giving it a knowledge base, all of these other things to work off of. But AI doesn't have to feed their family. AI doesn't get an evaluation from their boss or stats posted on how many leads they're closing or any of those type of things. And a human does. And that motivation helps. And really great salespeople are great at empathy and understand how to build urgency and all these other things. AI still doesn't have those emotions yet. They're probably going to get them. It's definitely going to be creepy and scary, but it's going to happen. And there will be a time and place where we see even more of it in a product like ours.
You mentioned earlier the importance of follow-up, and I believe you said it was 85% of like the 200 something businesses that you surveyed like did not have any follow-up. Once they do have a system of follow-up, whether it's through email, SMS, any other platform, how important is the speed at which that follow-up is delivered?
Yeah, really great question. And I should, just to make sure that we're clarifying. So that 85% number, that was an auto reply, right? But we did find that same survey, 42% never replied at all, right? They got this lead, which every small business says, I need more leads. I want more leads. They're going to pay for services, buy ads, do all these things. And then they get it. And then they completely crap the bed on doing anything with it, right? Like almost half the time. That was crazy. And specifically, I mean, this will be interesting enough. We broke down by those three categories. Home services was the best. They only failed at this 39% of the time. The medical industry was 40%, and then professional services was almost 51%. So at least home services, they were the best of the worst.
That's actually you would think, tradespeople, home service, less technologically. Wow.
Yeah. Our service found, well, they still pick up the phone to reach back out to people, right? They at least took a step with that. But overall, the other thing that we found, the average first human reply time was basically almost 18 hours.
Wow.
And in today's day and age, and when after a few hours I don't hear back from somebody and I didn't get an auto reply, I have no idea if you even received my form. Does it still work? Is it going to your spam? Are you even still in business? Guess what I'm doing? I'm looking for other solutions, and I'm going to fill out someone else's form or text them or call them. And that person's going to win my business because I wasn't left wondering, do they even exist? So that, rate of response definitely is an eye opener. And then one other thing that was really mind blowing to me too is just the amount of temps, right? So again, we want this lead so bad. We pour money into advertising, marketing, driving traffic, all of these things. We saw in our survey that 65% of the time, there was only one attempt made to follow back up with that lead. So just a one and done shot. I'll call you once, I'll text you once, I'll email you once. That was it, just one try. We only saw 13% make 2 attempts, another 8% make 3 attempts to follow up every couple of days to try and engage that lead. So again, the number one thing you're trying to make happen, the number one thing you covet off your website the most, and all you do is make one attempt to get back to the, completely mind-blowing. And then we also, inside of that, to break it down even further, 71% of those attempts were only made using one channel. So if the person filled out the form, gave you all the info, which when we filled it out, we gave them all the info. And I should mention too, these are established businesses that we're doing this, right? Like we said, this business has to have at least 25 reviews. The 225, they averaged 138 reviews. So these are established. They're ranking in the top 5 in the map pack. And when we're filling out their contact forms, we're saying like, hey, I want to build a 14 by 18 deck. Like we're being very we're just firing buying signals off. We're not like, hey, I'm thinking about this in 5 years. Can we talk about it? It's like, I want this done now. Here's specifically what I'm interested in. This is a very qualified lead that we were giving them. So back to that one attempt, we also found the channels that they used, 71% only used one channel. So that business would only make a call to you or only email you. Even though you have their number and you could call them, you could try to text them, you could email, like, let me make 3 or 4 attempts. Let me try different communication channels because you might respond to one easier than the other. Let me get an answer out of you. Put in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes to fill out my form. Why aren't you returning anything? And why am I only making one attempt that hopefully I hit you at the right time to answer a phone call, which is a whole nother rant we could go on. Like there is nothing that requires more effort than making or answering a phone call. It's why we gravitate towards text messaging, because we can do it whenever the heck we want, easily on our own time. So those are just some of the stats in that were incredibly mind-blowing to me, just how businesses were slow. Businesses didn't do enough to tie it off in their follow-up number of attempts, and they weren't even very intelligent in, let me try a few different ways to reach you that one might be easier to get a reply out of you or to take a next step.
I have to imagine that, because you mentioned like one of the businesses was like ranking top 5, like they're established, they're a big business and they're doing things right. I have to imagine that Leadferno amplifies much higher on businesses like that because they're already getting the leads. They're just not like converting them. They're not doing all the right things. Could you go through some of the like different case studies and whatnot? I know there's multiple ones. Which ones like are notable?
Yeah, so no, you're exactly right. At the end of the day, Leadferno will not bring more traffic to your website. Our goal is if you're getting enough traffic to your website, we're going to turn more of that into leads instead of just casual visitors, lurkers, whatever that might be, right? We're trying to squeeze as much juice out of that as possible. So a couple of the areas where that shows up in is not number one being volume, right? We just finished. Well, we didn't finish. We were given. This is great. Most of the time, I'm doing the case studies. I'm asking the questions, helping them get the data, all that stuff. Well, one of our clients is a 20 plus pest control business, and their agency did an A/B conversion test with using Leadferno on landing pages and not using Leadferno. And what they found is we boosted conversion over 201%, right? So A/B test means, all right, we just split the traffic down the middle. Over a month time, they sent roughly 2,500 visitors to a landing page where it's like a click to call or contact us CTA, and the other 2,500 users went to Leadferno. Well, the one that didn't use Leadferno generated 98 leads. We generated 299 leads in that same time. So a massive increase in conversion and generating leads. And obviously they looked at it and like, yeah, people prefer texting. It's asynchronous. It's easy to answer. It's a preferred communication channel. I can answer whenever I want. I know I'm not going to get stuck in a sales pitch or on the phone for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, anything else like that. So we see something like that play out. So volume definitely is one. Then on the other side, for some other businesses, we just see like the reply rate and how fast they're replying, right? Because they're getting that initial auto reply. Then the user, the business for Leadferno is getting a push notification when they have that new lead. So instead of like the downfall of a lot of contact forms is that lead is going into your email. A form generates the results and sends in your email. Well, also going into your email are sales pitches you're getting from vendors, other customer emails, things you've signed up for, newsletters, whatever that might be. Stuff gets buried. We miss emails all the time. I can't tell you the amount of times small businesses where their own lead form all of a sudden ends up in spam and is going into the spam folder and they're not receiving them. We actually, I think in our test of 225, a little over 4%, the forms were broken or we didn't get a reply. We reached out to those ones and let them know like, hey, your form's broken. It won't even work. And then we had a couple that responded days late, said, hey, sorry this is late. We actually found it in our spam folder, things like that. So when you use text and you have your leads going into an app that's just focused, you see a Leadferno alert, you know it's a new lead, right? It's not buried in with 600 other emails you're getting in a day. So that segmentation helps their reply times. And we're a shared inbox. So if you have 2 employees, 5 employees, or 10 employees that have a Leadferno account, who's ever available first can help and answer that lead. So you're not just tying it just to one person's email, an email address that forwards. 10 people of your staff are getting this push notification. And since texting is something we all do, they easily understand it, right? Like our mobile app is basically just like your texting app with a bunch more features that make it easier, faster, and whatever else from saved replies, auto replies, keywords, all of these other things. So we see that improve as well. And the last thing I'd like to point out to people is Leadferno's job is to start a conversation. And what I'm saying is you can do whatever you want with it once you get that conversation started. So I have law firms that the minute their whole world is always billed by the time, by the hour, and they want to get people on phone calls. So they text back and they're like, great, I have all your information. Can I call you right now? So text messaging and Leadferno and the things we offer, our job is to start a conversation. However you want to mature it and nurture it, that's up to you. You can easily do that. I'm not telling a business, hey, you need to do all your communication and close all your deals over text. Nope. Our solution helps start more leads for you. Then you can use whatever channels you want to be able to facilitate your best process and close those leads. So those are some of the things that we see in that. Another one was a garage door company that I think they have 8 locations on the East Coast. By adding Leadferno and giving text messaging, like they were converting a little over 19% of text messaging leads into closed jobs. The things they really loved about it is when they start the conversation over text, Their initial follow up is an auto reply to get the zip code to know that they're in the service area of one of their locations. And then they can ask, will you take a photo of what's wrong, right? A broken spring, the track's off, the door. So now before they start the estimate, they already have visuals, right? And in a form on your computer, if you wanted visuals, you'd have to say, that person would have to go take them with their phone, email them to themselves to get them onto their computer to then upload them. Instead of I'm in a text conversation, go snap photos in the text conversation and send them to us right now. We do that all day long. It's a piece of cake. Again, back to my whole golden rule. That's easy for your customer. So they just saw a huge boost in conversion because they're able to quickly and accurately quote what the job looks like. The tech is prepared for exactly what it's going to do, and they can quickly follow up, give the right information, the right type of quote, and that tech is prepared to get out to that job. So that's just a few of the examples, but quantity is number one. The response times is number two. And I should mention too, without going too much further, we help track all that. We can tell you what's your average first reply time, what's your average overall reply time. We can tell you that per user on our platform too. So, email response, you have no idea. You could never say, oh, my office person responds to email leads in 8 minutes and 30 seconds on average. You'd never know that in email. With our tool, you can know that.
So you kind of hit on like Leadferno is kind of getting you in the door, starting the conversation. What happens after that? Like that's up to the contractor. They can kind of manage things how they want. What is like after a home service business gets Leadferno, they're starting to see an increase in conversion rates. They're having better communications and experiences with customers. What's the next level? Like, what's the next step? Are there diminishing returns? Do you hit a point where it's like, how do you get to the next level and like increase margin?
Yeah. So I think for most people, it's always chicken and egg on process and kind of like what they're doing or what they should improve, right? And so one thing that I think is always important across everything that I've ever done in digital is like, just the old adage of you can't improve what you can't measure. And so just some of those things that I already talked about, now when you have like leads focused from the website and something that you can track, you have reply times being tracked, even down to specific agents and outcomes. Did we win it? Did we lose it? Is this conversation marked as other? Whatever that might be. When you have these things that allow that tracking, now you can actually see where are we at. And that allows you to be able to build process on, okay, here's the things we're going to do to make sure we respond faster. Here's where we're going to test what we're asking in our auto replies, what information we're getting, how much we're asking of them before we're asking to book something, or can we just turn around and give them a booking link right away in our auto reply or after answering one question. So you can start to test a lot of different things and you can measure what their impact is by the reports that we have. We also integrate with Google Analytics 4. So everything that our lead box does is firing an event. So you can track via events in GA4. So once you have that, now you have the visibility to start to put together a plan and start to say, okay, now we've been doing this way for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and here's what it's done for us. We think based on our past experience, what we've researched, whatever else, this would be the next best thing to test for that time period. And can we improve conversion even further from there? So all of those are opportunities once you have visibility into what's happening instead of you don't know. Or you're just going off, seems like we're getting more leads, seems like this is happening, seems like we're replying fast. When you actually have data that you can measure things against and then put thought into it and do controlled tests and see how you do on it, that just opens up a whole new world of possibilities. So all of that stuff to me is next level. Most people are like set it and forget it with their lead processes and how they follow up. Once you're actually using something that brings visibility into every step of what's going on, now you can tweak every little step to see, are we getting the most out of this step and what can we do that might affect it to either improve it, or if it doesn't improve it, we can say, all right, let's not test that again. This makes sense why that didn't work.
Love that. What are things you've seen? I want to just talk about say someone lands on a service page on a website. What have you seen improve conversion rate in terms of people filling out that little chat widget?
Yep. So this always depends from business to business. We can talk about some generals within this and just some things that I think are key components. At the end of the day, I always look at if someone has gotten to your website, especially if you're in home services, this isn't casual browsing, right? It's not like, oh, I'm bored, I'm going around the internet, and oh, look, here's a plumber that fixes leaky toilets. Like, I just remembered I have a leaky toilet, right? That's not the case. They already have a need in mind. And if they've made it to your website, they're seeking additional information to at least have enough trust, enough confidence, or they kind of understand their need might be something specific and they need to know, can you meet that specific need? It might be emergency service. It might be where they're located. It might be if it's commercial or residential, right? They have one or two small things that they need to tick the box on. So I always ask myself, like, is our content, being the visuals, the video, however people like to consume it or they might be consuming it, are we meeting those needs with it? So for most small businesses, their visuals fail this all the time because they're using stock photography, things like that. It's not the actual business that's portraying. And they're using very general shots on maybe sometimes specific service pages, right? So again, if I'm ending up on a page to find someone's emergency 24-hour plumbing service, I'd rather see a plumber getting out of the truck at midnight with like a flashlight or whatever else. Like that immediately visually gives me, they show up. They're going to be here for me at any time of night when I'm off hours, whatever that might be. So thinking through that and like, do we have the right content, the right headlines? Within 3 seconds, do I get an idea that they can solve my problem? If you're looking to build trust, you have reviews or reputation information that are automatically on the page. I'll be like, yep, I can feel good about contacting this business. Dozens or hundreds or thousands of other customers have used this business. And then the last thing, which falls back into what I was talking about with our call to actions, can I quickly and easily see how to take a next step? I shouldn't have to hunt, scroll up, or go into a menu or down into your footer to see a CTA. I should be able to understand what's there. So if I instantly already see a call to action that says, hey, you can text us. Like I know texting is now an option, or maybe our CTA says call or text us, right? All of these things, there's a bunch of possibilities with how you can configure our CTAs, but you can make them aware of here's all the ways you can contact us. It's right in front of you. It's also not being done so obtrusively that we're blocking you from reading the content or seeing the photos, and those kind of things are on there. So that to me, it always starts strategically for home services. They're not coming to our website out of left field. They're not coming to a specific service page out of left field. So if their interest is aligned here, what do I need to do to build trust, show that we're an expert here, and the next step is super easy. Those are the things I'm looking to do with that content.
Perfect. I don't know if this is, or I know it's not super prevalent right now. I think the number of people using Google versus ChatGPT is like 2% of searches. If the trend of people using AI to, search for different like services in the home service industry continues to increase, how do you see something like Leadferno or like just SMS communications occurring, and how do we it might be a stupid question or a hard question. How do you even see that kind of playing out?
Yeah. So the things I think about, right? AI is aiming to be cliff notes in search results, right? Like you don't have to go through the whole website. We'll bring the things that are relevant that you've kind of already hinted at, and we'll bring them to the top or to the list that's on there. So some of the things I look at that can definitely be helpful with that is if you mention in your content, so right, our widget has it, but you can also, we have a way so you could hyperlink text that if you click it will automatically open the widget. So if your content is saying hey, you can text us 24 hours a day, or we're just a text away. Now when AI is writing that summary, they might write hey, yeah, this business, and yeah, if you need them 24 hours, you can text them. Or texting is an option to that might be something that AI is pulling out to show as a differentiator about your business on why they might choose you. So amongst the other things on showing, you're writing content that we're professionals, we're experienced, we're trusted, we're all these things, showcasing your ease of contact in the contact channels, both in your content, so AI can index and scrape it and understand that, to me would be one angle to start looking at trying to make that happen. And that factors into me to anything that is kind of summarizing what you're doing. Google business profiles are no different, right? Like that is a summary of your business. And we already have the chicklets to, visit their website, call them, get directions. Well, Google introduced chat and messaging called Google Business Messages. They killed that off last year. But now what they've rolled out is you can actually place a number and it'll place a texting call to action listed like where your phone number and address is. So you can plug in like your Leadferno texting number. Now people can text you straight from your Google Business profile. And again, in your Google Business profile, you're marketing, hey, you can text with us for communication, quick and easy to answer a question, or you can call us, or you can visit our website and still take those other actions as well. So with any of these, whether it's AI, Google Business Profile, a Yelp profile, anywhere you're summarizing your business, showing you have these contact channels, and then being smart and using a tool where it's not just tied just to the owner's cell phone, that doesn't help it get answered fast when that owner is on a roof, building a deck, doing some plumbing, running some wiring, whatever that might be, and you have service staff that can then deal with it or help out with it.
So you kind of mentioned something, and there's a lot of home service, quote unquote, business owners who are technically just like one-man shops, plumber, electrician. How can they get value out of Leadferno?
Yeah. So this is just all about scaling yourself, right? And so the first thing I'd always tell these ones is like your auto reply can be everything here. So when someone starts that initial text conversation, and without getting too far down a rabbit hole, you set business hours in Leadferno, and then we have a during hours reply and an after hours reply. So you can set your hours to be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And during that time, your auto reply can say, hey, this is Jack. I'm currently on a job with a customer right now, but I'd love to find out if I can help you with yours. What is your zip code or what is the service you're interested in? So now they get an auto reply. They have instant connection. You're being personalized. You're a one-person business, person service. Don't hide it. Here's my name. I'm currently helping a customer, so other people are using me, and I'm setting expectations. As soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to get back to you, and I'm answering another question or two. So if you answer these things, I now understand that I can help you. You're a qualified lead, whatever else that might be. So if it takes me half an hour, 4 hours, 6 hours, you've done all those things in a personalized conversation which you haven't touched. So to me, that's absolutely the first step that's helpful. The second feature that's really helpful is we have a feature called Shortcuts. It allows you to build a library of saved messages, questions, links. So now as you're interacting with a customer, just within a tap or two, you can pull up something you've already written out that might be two initial questions. It might be an answer. It might be a link to book you, whatever that might be. So you don't have to type all these things out. They're already pre-written. You can edit them. You can add to them. You can remove stuff, whatever you want. But it's a complete, tap hack. So you don't have to write out these full messages on questions and answers. You're writing over and over and over again all the time. So to me, those are the two biggest things. Take the time and create those shortcuts because now you can send messages or do these things within seconds. And the other is those initial auto replies, keyword questions, things like that. Like personalize it. Let them know who you're working with. Let them know you are currently occupied with someone, but you're going to get to them next. And they have confidence in it because the consumer's going to get a push notification when you text them back. Nobody misses text messages. We miss emails all day long. We ignore text messages if we don't want to reply to somebody. We see it and we're like, oh, I'll deal with that later. But we see them, right? Like the stats are always 98% of text messages are seen within the first 3 minutes. So use that to your advantage, communicate, set expectations, do the right thing.
So you almost immediately mentioned, like if it's a one-person shop, just a plumber who is using something like Leadferno, you talk about like actually saying that and saying, hey, I'm on a job site right now, like making it personalized. A lot of the smaller companies, I feel like they look at the bigger ones and try to kind of like puff their chest out a little bit, kind of appear bigger than they are, more professional than they are, when some people are just looking for like a plumber that they can actually like relate with.
Yep.
Like what made you answer that like that so quickly and concisely?
So I've always been a big fan of authenticity, and conversion is all about building trust. the fastest way that you can build trust is going to get somebody as a customer. And I've done it myself. I've ran super small agencies where I was trying to pretend that we were not just two people building websites and trying to do whatever. And I've also ran, staff of 50 plus, where sometimes in those cases, you're trying to let people make them feel, hey, we're small enough. You're not paying for a bunch of overhead. You get to talk to somebody. You have a dedicated account rep, those kind of things. So I've just always believed in embrace who and what you are. And in this case, you're not stating, hey, I'm Jack and I'm just a one-person company, but you're letting them know, hey, you've connected directly with a plumber. I'm directly working on a job, and then I will directly give you my expertise one-to-one that I can help you with. You're not dealing with someone in the office that's only about scheduling. If you have some more complex questions or you want to bounce an idea off me or no, does this even need a repair or anything else? So I think use all those things to your advantages instead of trying to shapeshift them or, magic hands, look away, nothing to see over here, whatever that might be. And that can be hard for some business. I've just always said, be confident in who you are and what you're doing, and you're doing it the right way, and you'll get much further than pretending that you're not. And that might not be for everybody, but for me, I'd max out on that authenticity and that one-to-one connection and talking to an expert.
Now, on the other end of that spectrum, how do big businesses personalize their messages?
Yeah, that's another great thing about text messaging is it can be personalized. So, right, your auto reply can be general and say, great, hey, you've reached us. Tell us your zip code to see if you're in our service area. Then when they reply with their zip code, then the first person answers will be like, hey, great. I'm Larry, and I can help you get a service scheduled. So it's just normal communication things to personalize by introducing yourself, using their name, things like that. How can you make that conversation feel personalized? Texting is a super easy way to do it. When they reach out, again, that's why it's so great. We've already captured the name. We don't have to spend time on what's your name. They've already entered it in that initial quick 3 field form when they start the conversation. So I would just look at ways like that. How can I personalize that? How can I bring, a little bit of human element into that conversation as soon as possible?
What do you see changing from a consumer standpoint in terms of how they interact with businesses? I know you mentioned people want to text. Most people are using text message. Are there any other trends you're seeing or shifts, especially in home service?
Yeah, so I think SMS as a communication, let's talk about that one first. So SMS is kind of the initial V1 of text communication between mobile devices. And it's been around for decades now, right? And it's become, we've seen the takeoff. I look at it's right, the iPhone and getting into smartphones definitely brought around, at first you wanted a full keyboard on your phone so you could email more on your BlackBerry and things like that. And then, text messaging moved to the forefront, and it's how we interact with friends, family, everything in our personal lives. And then I really think, that shift in the business world was starting to happen. And then the pandemic fast forwarded it really fast because businesses needed more ways to interact with their customers. So even things you'd order food that was just going to be curbside pickup because no one could go into the restaurant. You're texting the restaurant, hey, I'm here in parking spot 4, and they bring out your food to you. Or you're texting your dry cleaner to come pick up your clothes hanging on the front door because you're not walking into the dry cleaner. So that shift just kind of was forced where people didn't think for a while of, oh, this makes my personal life really easy. Man, my business life would be more easy if I was texting with people. I think the pandemic really fast forward that because a lot more businesses then adapted it because they needed more touch points and they had to improve some of their processes to be contactless and replace being face-to-face or having people walk through your door. All that to say, the version 2 of texting, which is called RCS, so it's a rich messaging, is starting to be adopted. So Google already has it adopted for Android phones, but iOS, Apple and iOS were slow to adopt this. They finally last year said, we are going to adopt it. Now it's kind of the carriers having to do that, right? There's all these layers in the mobile world. But what RCS is, it gains ground and comes out It will allow for a more immersive experience when you're texting of, instead of having to do those keyword replies, you might be able to send a menu that has 3 or 4 or 5 choices that you just press one of those. And then that'll give you the auto reply based on what service you've selected or what area you're in. I haven't seen this one yet, but maybe at some point you'll send them a map, you'll tap on the map where you're located. So just building out, it just builds out the capabilities of what can be done in the communication to automatically pay in text, or purchase something in text, book something in text. It just expands the technical capabilities of the platform. From what I've seen, it's going to be pretty slow to roll out because, again, the major players of Android and iOS need to develop more features and push it out at the macro level. Then you have the carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. They need to do things at their level to enable it across the networks. And then you get into the customer adoption. But I think we're really going to see that in the next handful of years hit mainstream and the things we can do completely take off. So that texting specific, I think, is definitely there. The next thing that I look at, and it comes back to just where we started. I'd always be asking myself, how easy is it to do business with my business? How can we make that easier? To me, the amount of salespeople and business owners that have never tried to secret shop their own business, that haven't gone to their website, filled out the form, waited to get a reply, see what the next step is. How good is the communication at setting expectations? Do I know what the next step is? Any of that stuff? It's mind blowing to me, right? So I would just always be looking at how do I make that so easy? Because that's such a key way to get somebody to be like, I'm glad I chose them. I'm such a fan of how easy that was, whether it was technology that allowed me to make it easy or how they took care of me or the solution they delivered, the value. But that's the kind of person that will go and rave about you and give referrals without even being asked, right? Instead of you ask your neighbor at a pool party, like, hey, I saw you had your house painted. Who did you use? This person comes and be like, I tell you what, we just got our house painted. Here's the guy that did it. Let me tell you about how awesome they were. Like, I got a quote after 3 text messages and sending them 2 photos. It was spot on. They scheduled it a week later. They had the thing painted. It's brilliant, right? Nobody asked them for anything, and that person is being a bullhorn and out there trying to deliver you referrals because the experience was so great. And to me, to do that, the key is, how easy is it to work with us? Do we make it effortless to understand what they do great at, make the decision, the communication, all of those things? So that's what I'd be looking at.
So you mentioned text not being kind of like so it went from email then to text. Like, is there something that's beyond this? Like, do you see anything else coming, or do you think text is just going to be the prominent?
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, the whole AI thing gets into, do we create our own agents, and our own agents are talking to our friends' agents? Or I want to go buy car insurance, and so my agent reaches out to 3 car insurance companies who interacts with their AI bot agents. And so the agents do that, right? Like that's probably what's next on that side, where we're just giving a command, a prompt, a wish to our phone, to our AI agent, and it goes and does the legwork and comes back with the summary for us. So yeah, could it be where you have an AI agent that somebody's AI agent reaches out and says, I want a quote to get new carpeting in my home. And the AI is like, great, tell me the measurements, like scan photos, just do a video around the room. That's all we need. And then we'll be able to triangulate and have the measurements and give you a quote and whatever else. So to me, that's an area of definite possibility where you have AI agent talking to AI agent, and the humans are just getting the details and pulling the trigger on it at the very end. So that's definitely one possibility. What's more likely right now, like I talked about, we're going to see evolutions in communication channels. AI is already part of voice, so we get AI that's answering phone calls. AI can answer text messages, right? That's something we might have in ours. But again, for most businesses, does it have the motivation? Does it have the empathy? Does it have those things? So I think those are a number of shifts that we'll see coming to fruition.
Perfect. Aaron, where can people find more about you? Where would you like to send them to? Obviously, Leadferno, but like, where do you want to
Yeah,
send them?
man. Well, they've probably had enough of me after this hour you and I have spent together. But if they want more, yeah, leadferno.com. Go to our blog, linked at the top or /blog. All the research I've talked about, we've done like 6 different research projects. So if you want to understand average reply times, how people handle contact forms, the popularity of text messaging versus phone calls and email, all that type of stuff we have there is there. We have case studies per industry, all the different things. So all that information is out there. I'm a pretty social guy. I'm also lucky. My last name Weiche does not spell how it sounded. So if you type in Aaron Weiche into search, I'm the only one in the world. My parents were great at branding. They created a unicorn. So feel free to connect with me on Twitter or Blue Sky, LinkedIn, Facebook, any of that stuff. Always open, always willing to answer questions and be of any help that I can be.
Perfect. Aaron, thank you so much.
Well, it was a pleasure. Great talking with you. Thanks for having me on.
Right back at you.